Ondas might be setting up as a real player in the drone and defense space. And some people are starting to look at this and think this could be a real superstock over time. But there's one problem: the shorts haven't left. And that's what makes this setup so interesting, because you got a company building in a space that is clearly expanding, and you've got contracts and real world use cases starting to show up, and attention is slowly building. Here is CEO Eric Brock talking about what's to happen in 2026.
I'll say this, that the team is really energized to do better, right? So let's see where we can take this. But the key thing will be for us to continue, to put the leadership and the infrastructure for growth. And what we're really doing at OAS is building a platform to handle much higher revenue levels and business activities than that 375 million, right? We're building it for, to be able to build a really substantial company over a 3 to 5 year period. We're going to keep making those investments.
And I guess
And at the same time, there's plenty of people betting against it. So let's break this down simply, because I think this is part of what is getting missed. What does Ondas actually do? At a high level, Ondas is building real-time intelligence systems powered by drones. And not just drones, a connected system. Here's Eric Brock talking about that system.
We believe we're at the beginning of a 10-year boom. That's what we're participating in. So deploying these aerial platforms. We've got several of them now in our portfolio, as well as ground robots. Happy to go into that or take this any way you'd like.
Yeah, I think we should probably start by talking about the Iron Drone Raider. That's an autonomous counter UAS drone. And then you also have the Optimus, the system, the first FAA certified, that's what it is, small UAS. So can you talk a little bit about those and kind of the demand for these?
Yeah, absolutely. So why don't I start with Iron Drone, and we will talk Optimus. We might even talk about the Wasp, which is this FP.
That's one of the questions on my list. That's pretty good.
Very good. So, but yeah, it did really start with us with the Optimus and Iron Drone. I'll talk about Iron Drone firstly. So that is a counter drone platform. So that's designed to protect critical locations and populations from the threat of intruder drones. And of course, we see this threat growing really exponentially, not just in the battlefield, but concerns around how we're protecting the homeland. The Iron Drone is part of a layered protection system. So layers go from the detection. You can't mitigate or protect what you can't see. So there's all sorts of different technologies, including radar, that can detect threats. You also see electronic mitigation. So that's things like jamming and spoofing of GPS and radio links. And then there's a so-called hard kill. And that's where Iron Drone plays. And our system is fully autonomous. We've got incredible performance in navigation. It's an operational system that's been developed by our team in Israel and been deployed in battle. We're very proud of that. And what we do is with Iron Drone is we use it net to mitigate the threat. Has a couple of benefits. Firstly, lower collateral impact. So we're typically protecting population centers that range from military bases and borders to amusement parks and stadiums, as well as critical infrastructure. So there's a massive amount of infrastructure and population centers that need to be protected. And using a net provides lower collateral impact. So exploding over people is something we want to avoid if we can. And then secondly, the economic case here is really important, because when the drone is finished with our mission, you can use it again. You just put a new net on, it goes.
So the drones are the eye in the sky, and the sensors and ground systems are the ears on the ground, and the satellite data expands the range and the visibility, and the software layer is the brain. And all that connects into one network. So instead of isolated tools, you can get a system that can monitor large areas, detect movement, track activity in real time, and send that data instantly to decision makers. Here's Ondas Autonomous Systems. So that shift's happening globally, from standalone hardware to integrated autonomous systems. And this isn't theoretical. You're already seeing ONDS involved in real world environments like border surveillance and in sensitive regions, large scale event monitoring. Think environments like global sporting events where security and visibility matter, and broader defense-related applications where persistent aerial intelligence is critical. When you think about something like World Cup environment, you're talking about massive crowds, high security, and the need for constant real-time visibility. And that's exactly where systems like this become valuable, as they can fly over the stadiums. Now here's the key point. This is the growing space, but the financials don't fully reflect that yet. ONDS is still a small cap company. You can see that it's trading at $9.65 today, plus 2.66%. ONDS, at the same time that they've raised capital aggressively to this build out, which means that they've had a lot of dilution, which has been significant. The share count has increased, and that's put pressure on the stock. And revenue is still in the tens of millions annually, 30 to 40 million. So let's talk about that big headline number, because this confused a lot of people. Last quarter, ONDS reported roughly an $80 million loss. And also in 2025, they had a net loss of $133.4 million. But a large portion of that was tied to warrant accounting. Here you can see the ongoing losses and dilution concerns. Despite surging sales, Ondas reported a net loss of approximately $133.4 million for 2025 and expects EBITDA to losses, EBITDA losses to widen in the near term due to high operating expenses. Significant equity and warrant raises have also led to shareholder dilution. And it's a persistent concern for investors. So that does not mean that the business isn't spending heavily, but it also doesn't mean that they burned $80 million in cash in one quarter. And that distinction matters because this is still a company in build mode. They are investing ahead of revenue, scaling infrastructure, and trying to expand contracts and deployments. And that comes with risks. Here you can see the earnings per share is still at a negative 0.62. And this is why this is exactly why short interest is still elevated. Around that, you can see it's in the negative 18% range. You can see short floats at 35. The ratio is at 1.7. The short floats at 35.86, and the short interest is at 164.35. And here's the chart. ONDS $9.66 today, and you're at 2.76%. And so that's not a small number. That's a meaningful group still betting. This goes lower or stays under pressure. And if you've been watching the price action, it does feel like there's resistance. So now you've got this situation. You got a company building in a critical future system with real world use cases starting to appear. But this is still early financially and still heavily questioned by the market. That combination is where mispricing can happen. And this is the kind of setup that I've been tracking inside Alpha Alerts on buymeacoffee.com. We have insider access, which $5 a month get closer to 20-minute stock hunt, stay plugged in to see ideas early, be part of the community, tracking ONDS, SATL, IREN, and more. You get early access to videos, members only posts, and poll voting, and you get shout out opportunities for only $5 a month. For $10 a month, you get portfolio access to the portfolio, weekly portfolio video, gives you an update of what's going on, position updates, and trade reasoning. And then for $20 for the alpha alerts, you get real-time updates when I make moves, buys, adds, trims, and key levels of what I'm watching, ONDS, SATL, IREN, and more. And it includes real-time trade alerts, entry, exit updates, and what I'm watching before the stock moves, and a priority question and answer session. So let's get back to the video. Posting updates as this develops, and I'm managing risk around it because nothing changes. Shorts can be right, but if perception starts to shift and if contracts continue to build, if revenue begins to scale, then this moves from early stage risk to early stage opportunity. And those transitions don't happen slowly, they happen fast. Here's exactly where I'm positioned. This is how I'm thinking about how I'm managing the risk. And I've already shared this trade in my approach inside alpha alerts. As we go back to alpha alerts. So if you want real-time entries, updates, and how I'm handling setups like this as they develop, it's in the link below on buymycoffee.com. Because in setups like this, timing matters. Stepping back, this isn't guaranteed. And ONDS still needs to execute and improve financials and prove this system can scale. But the reason I'm watching this closely is simple. The pieces are there. It's a growing sector, a system most people don't fully understand yet, and a stock that still has meaningful opposition. And when those come together, the question changes. Not what is this today, but what could this become if the market gets it wrong? Because if ONDS starts getting viewed differently, not just as a small cap dealing with dilution, but as part of a larger autonomous defense and surveillance network, then this probably won't be a slow move. So I'm watching it closely because one side is going to be right. Either the shorts are correct or the shorts are early. Or on the other side, the buyers are early. Or retail is early. And that's where things get interesting. So let me know what you think. Are the shorts right there or are they early on this one? And if you want to follow this in real time, it's all inside alpha alerts, and the link is in the description through buymycoffee.com. And I'll see you in the next one.